So, hi everyone, this is Yasmyne from the Freedom Geek, and today I will be speaking with our client, Diego Rosales Sosa. So, Diego is the director of Eastfield Architecture. He has over 12 years of experience working in the architecture and construction industries. He worked for Lend Lease, a large international construction and property development company, where he gained invaluable knowledge of construction, project management, and development. He worked on a number of large UK projects such as the Athletes Village at the London 2012 Olympic Games and the Imperial College London L Block development. So, hi, Diego. Welcome. Thank you so much for being
Hello.
here today. To start off, could you just add more to that introduction and tell us about you and your business?
Yeah, sure. Of course I can. I run an architecture practice and a property investment business with my wife. We are based in London, but we work all around the UK. And as of today, all our admin and design team is currently based overseas.
Wow. So, why did you decide to hire a virtual assistant?
Well, I have to admit that the 4 Hour Week by Tim Ferriss, that book, influenced me a lot and really opened my mind to the possibility of working with virtual assistants. I was really blown away by that book. So I started outsourcing a lot of work to a design team based abroad. This is for my architectural practice, which really allowed me to delegate more and grow the architecture practice. Then this, I think, led to the idea of hiring a VA to assist with the property business. So we have a mentor, and my mentor suggested getting in touch with Imogen to find a VA that would suit my requirements. So that's how we got started.
So, how long have you been working with your virtual assistant? And could you also share with us what sort of tasks you hand over to them aside from the property tasks that you mentioned?
Yeah, of course. So I've been working with a virtual assistant for maybe 7 months. I can't recall now the exact date, but it's been long enough that I can really see a change and a transformation in the business and the way I do things. In terms of tasks that I delegate to a virtual assistant, I would say I started delegating a lot of admin work, things that I needed to do, but I never got around doing them, or things that took a lot of my time, things that were repetitive, that easy to delegate. So that's how it started. But now it's actually, I started delegating more and more complex tasks. And I've realized that my virtual assistant can help me not just with simple admin tasks, but also more complex problem solving, which has been completely transformative for my business.
So, can you please share with us how did you feel prior to onboarding a virtual assistant when you were doing all these tasks by yourself versus how you felt after you onboarded a virtual assistant and have successfully delegated these tasks to them?
Well, I would say before having a virtual assistant, I felt overwhelmed because there's only so many hours in the day that you can work. And in our case, we're running two separate businesses at the same time. There's so much that goes on with the business, not just the strategic part, but also day-to-day things that need to be done. And I found myself drowned in a lot of individual tasks that was keeping my eye away from the important things in my business. So after getting my virtual assistant, it's given me time. But I would say that the most important thing that it's given me is a different way of seeing problems or tasks as systems. So now when I'm faced with a task, I think to myself, okay, how can I turn this task into individual steps that can be then turned into a system? And for me has been the most important change in getting a virtual assistant on board.
So you did mention that you felt very overwhelmed before you had a virtual assistant, and a lot of the clients that come to us usually have that feeling that they are very overwhelmed, and then later on when they realize that they of course have to onboard somebody into the team, kind of train them, guide them through as well. Sometimes the client feels even more overwhelmed. So did you have that feeling in the beginning, and like if you did have that feeling, how did you overcome it, and how did you onboard your VA, and how did you train them?
Well, I think it was really good at the beginning to do a gradual onboarding with the VA. And this meant that the process of getting him on the team was actually relatively painless. Of course, I have spent a fair bit of time in getting things ready for him, getting the system set up and getting some templates set up. But the truth is that was nothing in compared to the best that I received after getting the virtual assistant fully on board. So I would say the experience of getting the virtual assistant on board, it was really painful. I was able to do it gradually and introduce more and more complex tasks into the workload. So I would say that by now he is fully incorporated and integrated into the business.
So basically, when you first onboard a virtual assistant into the team, yes, of course, in the very beginning, you might have to spend a little bit of time with them, but then the outcome of it later on is that they will be getting these tasks away from you, and eventually you will be freeing up 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours of the day. So me personally, I was onboarded for the team. I handled the sales calls for the team. So initially, Imogen, our CEO, she was the one handling all the sales calls. So she was doing that for a few hours in a day. And when she eventually delegated the task to me, she had, she had her hours back, and now she can focus on those high value tasks in the business where she can focus on growing the business. So we do think that that is also valuable. That yes, it may take a bit of time in the very beginning, but the outcome is, they will do it 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times in your business. So now that you have, successfully onboarded a VA and now you're working with them, were there any pleasant surprises when you started working with them?
Well, I have to say that the most pleasant surprise was the positive attitude of my VA. I mean, I think it's really a pleasure to work with him. And I would say also how proficient he is at completing tasks for me. And in fact, I've realized that my virtual assistant can do many tasks that I used to do before much quicker than I can. And that's a surprise. So I would say, yeah, I think those two things is a positivity that makes everything so much more enjoyable and so much more easy. And also how proficient and how quickly he's turned out to be at doing things that I used to do much slower.
Do you have any tips that you would like to share with us on how to successfully work with a virtual assistant?
Yeah, I would say it's quite important to give clear instructions. I think that's really helped a lot with working with our virtual assistant. Just giving clear instructions, and sometimes something that is quite useful for us to do when delegating tasks is take a few minutes to record my screen showing how to complete a particular task, and then upload that video to, in our case, we do it to a private YouTube channel that my VA can access. So that sometimes saves us a meeting, for example, having to coordinate time. So I can just record a task on my screen, upload it to YouTube, and the VA will access it. So that means that it's quite clear for him what needs to be done. Another tip I would give, and I think this is really useful, is just use systems and tools which are simple to use and to maintain. We use things like, for example, LastPass and Time Doctor and Dropbox and Asana. And these are all tools that are already out there. They're free to use and they're really, really user friendly. So the simpler the tools, I think the better when working with a virtual assistant. And if there's one more thing I could add is to give your virtual assistant frequent positive feedback and support. Just the fact that they are based, how many thousand miles away, I would say it's good to see them as if they were standing right next to you. So they're another member of your team. So give them encouragement, give them support, train them when they need training, and give them frequent positive feedback. I would say that's also very important. I think that those are the tips that I would give.
Aside from the tips that you have given, do you have any advice for entrepreneurs who would like to onboard a virtual assistant, but they're not exactly sure how to do that?
I would say the biggest benefit that you will get when working with a virtual assistant is that it will encourage you to think constantly about systems rather than individual tasks. So it's not just the time you gain, but it's the way you think about your business, which is quite important. And I would say that ultimately it will help you remove yourself from the business, and it will give you more time for yourself, which I think is the best asset any business owner can have.
Thank you, Diego. Can you please also just tell us where we can reach you, any websites, any social media accounts as well?
Well, best way to reach us via our Instagram account, which is Eastfield Group in Instagram, and also on our website, which is called Eastfield Architecture. If you want to reach out, if you have any tips or there's any way I can help, drop me a message and I'll be happy to answer any questions and give you a hand.
Thank you so much, Diego, for being here today. Everything that you have shared with us is very valuable, and I do hope that we get to help other entrepreneurs who can help onboard a virtual assistant and transform their business like how you have transformed yours. So thank you.
Thanks very much, Yasmyne. I appreciate it.